now I would like to call on stage a very talented human being, one with a fusion of experience, sincerity, creativity and charisma. He is one of UK's leading presenters, Raza. Naeem is now dedicated to a leading charity organisation called Human Appeal. And Al-Imdaad Foundation are proud to have a joint venture with Human Appeal over the crisis in Syria. I would like to invite Naeem on stage to give you an insight of our project to help our Syrian brothers and sisters. Jazakallah, please accept Naeem.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulihil kareem wa ala sahbihi ajma'een. My dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair, Eid Mubarak to each and every one of you. With the theme of mercy to mankind, I want you to think back 1500 years ago, when the Prophet ﷺ, with his companions, with some of the best men and women that Allah has created, mentioned the land of Syria. He said that I see the wings of angels over the land of Asham. And this land is Syria, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, this region. And if you look back at the history of many scholars who are worth their salt, I guarantee they studied in Damascus. And even to this day, we have many young students who long to go and study in Damascus. So what we see in Syria at the moment is quite devastating. But alhamdulillah, inshallah, by the prophecy of the Prophet ﷺ, there will come a time when peace will inshallah descend upon that blessed land. Now I've been to Syria 3 times. I only went back just the last few days ago, just before Eid. And at that time we went to deliver 40,000 food parcels. Despite the conflict having run for nearly 2 years, I'll tell you what I saw on the first day I arrived in Syria, inside the country. You know, people speak about Syria, they actually don't even go into Syria. They go on the Turkish border, the Jordanian border, and they complain they've been to Syria. You have to go inside Syria to see what's really happening. On the border, this is just last week, just before Eid, 190 families arrived on the border. And I asked them, where have they been since the conflict started? They said for the last 12 months we've been living in caves. In caves. They traveled for 150 kilometers, that's nearly 120 miles, by foot, by whatever means they could to get to the border. And the majority of them were merely sitting under olive trees with a plastic sheet over their head. That is their home. Some of them cannot remember the last time they had a hot meal. There were children and elderly who hadn't had medical attention for God knows how long. I met a woman, a mother of 4, who said she showed me her arm. Her arm had been blown off because of an aircraft bomb. I met a sister who had 4 children. Her husband, you know what his crime was? Syria is very famous for olives. On the border alone, there are 16 million olive trees on the border with Turkey, just between 2 villages. 16 million! There's an abundance of olive trees. And her husband's crime was that he picked some olives to feed his children. They chopped his hand off and they put him in prison. When we gave those food parcels out, these were just small boxes that might last for 30 days. Wallahi, I was ashamed of myself. I had elderly men who were old enough to be my great-grandfather kiss me on the forehead. It was like they won the lottery. It was like they'd won the lottery. Yeah, all it was a food parcel. Now I went in the winter initially, and I'll tell you, it was this cold that we have. The winter we have in this country is nothing. The winter in Syria, you need 5 layers to keep warm. So that's the first problem. The tents, they collapse because of the snow and the rain. And then when they get new tents, or when the weather improves, it is so hot. It's 50 degrees inside the tents. People have to sit outside all day. And these 190 families, they were just sitting outside because they didn't have anything. So people are still arriving on the border to this day. And indeed, when the United Nations mentions it's the greatest catastrophe of 20 years, yes it is. Sadly it is. Now talking about 20 years, even if the war stopped today, we've made an assessment on the ground, it will take at least 10 years before people can go back home. 10 years to reconstruct the country, minimum. How long can people live in tents or under plastic sheets or under olive trees? On our last visit, we met a woman who gave birth to a child under an olive tree. Gave birth to a child under an olive tree. How long can people live like that? That's the challenge. So, as our brothers mentioned, we've decided to do something about it with our partners on the ground. We've decided to put together a containerized village. This container village, can we have the images up on the screen? This is what the village will look like. In the village, there is a school, a hospital, a masjid, clean water and sanitization. In the houses, they will have furniture. These containers can last for decades, but we want to at least build them for the next 10 years. We've started the work already. In each village will have 100 houses. In that house, anything up to 10 people can live. What's the average cost of a house in this country? Anybody give me an idea? What's the cost of a house in this country? Average. Anybody?
1,000, 150,000.
The average cost of a house, not 1,000. If it's 1,000, bro, I'm going to wipe Park Lane. 150.
240.
Yeah. In London, it's probably in its 200,000s. Around the country, you might be able to level it out to 153 to 160,000 pounds minimum. For us to put this container house together, plus access to the school, so it's not just the house, there's access to the school, the mosque, the kitchen, the water, and all the facilities, that people can have their respect and dignity back. It costs us £5,000. Think about this. What I'm asking you to do tonight, I'm asking you to adopt a family in Syria. And I want you to think about this. You know, we've been back in Glasgow, we've been thinking about getting an extension to our house. But a guy came out the other day. He said, an extension to your house is £50,000. And that is not even to our bedroom. I'm asking you to make an extension to your house, brothers and sisters, for £5,000. And do what? Adopt a family in Syria for the next 10 years. Wallahi, you will meet them every day. For Fajr, for Dhuhr, for Asr, for Maghrib, for Isha. You will have breakfast with them every day. You will have lunch with them every day. You will have dinner with them every day. You will sit and talk to them. You will bring them back their respect and dignity. You will cover them. Think about it this way. That's what you'll be doing. You'll be showing them mercy. If we look at what we're going to do after this finishes in an hour's time, you're going to go home. Home. Walls, roof, windows, privacy, respect, dignity, food, water, clothing, shelter. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, you cannot do anything. You cannot do enough to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He's given you. Wherever you live in London, you cannot give Him enough. For every breath we take, we cannot be grateful. But Allah didn't say, I want you to give everything for me, to say thank you for what I've given you. Allah said, if you want to be grateful to what I've given you, be merciful to those around you. Be merciful to them. And of course, the greatest mercy to mankind, the Prophet ﷺ put it in the best way. He said that it is more blessed to me to walk with my brother in need than it is to spend the entire month in the masjid in isolation. We've just come out of Ramadan. Some of us spent time in itikaf, spent a few hours more than we usually do in the masjid. What serenity. The chance we have to develop ourselves. The Prophet ﷺ is more blessed for me to walk with my brother in need. And this walk, brothers and sisters, is no ordinary walk. It's not the kind of walk we have with our friends and our homies. This walk means we have to listen. We have to give time. And we have to put our hand in our pocket. Because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that our wealth will become our test. Now Ramadan is just finished. You're probably thinking, Akhi, you know, I gave a lot of time and money in Ramadan. Is anybody in this room any poorer today than they were before Ramadan started? Anybody? Anybody can put their hand on their heart and say, brother, you know what? Wallahi, I ran out of money in Ramadan. I gave the money in Ramadan and I'm really poor now. Do you know why you didn't? Because the Quran has guaranteed that anything you give in sadaqah, Allah will replace between 700 to 700 times. That's why. This is our yaqeen, our iman, our faith in Allah. Whatever He tells us in the Quran, whatever the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, in a lie. It's the reality. That indeed it will be replaced. And you know, charity and sadaqah and zakat is not just about Ramadan. We are not people of Ramadan. We are people of the year. We are people of 365 days a year. We don't stop praying when Ramadan finishes. Equally, don't stop giving. We don't stop thinking about our fellow brothers and sisters. We carry on. Because Ramadan is a time where we put charity, zakat, sadaqah, our prayers, reading of the Quran to practice. And after the day of Eid, we are meant to continue with that. So that next Ramadan we're stronger. Mentally, physically, spiritually we're stronger. And the other thing, brothers and sisters, this is a fantastic opportunity to give Sadaqah Jariyah. What is Sadaqah Jariyah? Anybody here got the iPhone 5? Put your hand up. iPhone 5s. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to take them off you. Anybody else? There must be more than that. There's one or two. Anybody get it on the first day? Anybody get it the first day when it came out? Anybody? I got it the first day it came out. You know what I did? I went on Facebook, on Twitter, on social media, everywhere. I said, I got the iPhone 5. And everybody asked me the same question. He said, Akhi, where did you get it from? Why do I share this example? Because when you give Sadaqah Jariyah, either on behalf of yourself or particularly on behalf of someone who's passed away, it is said that the angels take the deed on a silver tray and they present it to the deceased. And you know what the deceased does? They show off like I showed off about the iPhone 5. They say, look, oh my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my son, my daughter, look what they've done for me. So it's an amazing opportunity to send something forward for yourself. When you give that shelter and the opportunity to those brothers and sisters in Syria, it's a Sadaqah Jariyah. Because every second of the day that they are shielded away from the elements of the weather, they have their respect and dignity back. It goes in your account. They have their health back. They have their food on the table. They have clean water. Wallah, it was shameful walking around the camps in Syria, seeing our sisters having to go to the bathrooms. I couldn't work out what they were trying to do. They were walking around with these stones. I said, what are these for? He said, brothers, they're using this to dig holes into the ground. We want to give them their respect and dignity back. We're not going to take them over the border and bring them to Turkey and Jordan. This is inside Syria on the borders. So the borders, as you know, are protected. They were to live in some kind of peace. But the most important thing, they'll have shelter. And with the shelter, the children have an education. We are one of the only, actually from what I know, we're the only charity on the ground that supports a school inside Syria. It's in a village called Kah. Over 1,000 children come, and it is the only thing that distracts them from the war. And these villages, they will all have schools in them. madrasas, so children come and continue to learn about the deen and the dunya. People have clean water. They will have what we have. And what did the Prophet ﷺ mention? Wish for your brother what you wish for yourself. We're not asking for £200,000 to build a house. I'm asking £5,000, not just to build a house, but give them everything else that they need. And the last 2 or 3 points I mentioned, we're a small crowd tonight. I accept that. But you know what? Sometimes there's one person in the crowd. Not because they're going to put their hand up and say, well, I'll buy the house. Because of their dua and character, that we're going to raise the money we need. One person. That's all it takes. The second thing I'll mention is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, spend on me and I will spend on you. Brothers and sisters, anything we have of value, it is worth nothing, absolutely nothing, unless you give to Allah in your lifetime. It's worth nothing. And the only reason you have it then is because Allah gave you back. And thirdly, let us not be of those people on the day of judgment when we stand in front of Allah. Allah will ask us a question. He will say, you did not come to visit me. And say, Ya Allah, you are Lord of the universe, Master of creation. How could I visit you? Allah will tell you that if you had gone to see so-and-so servant of mine who was ill, who was naked, who was hungry, who was thirsty, you would have found me with him. And of course, when you provide water to the thirsty, what is your reward? Allah will give you drink from where? The fountain of Kawthar. You dress somebody who is naked, you'll have garments from paradise. And of course, you shelter somebody. Where will your shelter be, do you think, on the day of judgment? Under the throne of Allah. Now, what can we do? I'm not going to ask for something crazy. Some of you know me, I do these kind of events literally every single night of the week. I'm looking for brothers and sisters in this room who are brave, courageous, and understand what it means to give sadaqah. I'm not even asking you for the money tonight. I'm giving you 12 months between now and the beginning of next Ramadan. 12 months to raise the money. And for some of our young brothers and sisters, there's a challenge for you. Whether you set up a car wash, whether you set up a challenge event, whether you knock on doors or collect in buckets, call your friends. Some of us here, some brothers and sisters, they can make 5 phone calls and raise the money that I'm looking for. Some of us have that kind of money. Some of us know we're going to get the money in a few months. Doesn't really matter. I just need to know how many houses I can build tonight. So I'm looking for those brave and beautiful hands, the first hand. The first hand is always the blessed hand. It is the one that gets the reward of everything else that happens the rest of the evening. So I'm looking for somebody here, inshallah, from the brothers or the sisters. We've got communication with the sisters, is that right? There you go. Who can make a commitment of taking the first house for £5,000 and adopt a family in Syria tonight and look after them for the next 10 years. I'm looking for one hand to get me going. Inshallah, we'll go further down and give everybody a chance to be part of this. Is there a brother here or a sister who can indeed, over the next 12 months, or tonight, over the next few weeks, whenever it is, say, brother, I'll raise the money, I have the money. I know how to get it. I can raise the £5,000 for you. Give yourself a challenge. And I'll tell you, the minute you put your hand up, I guarantee something, as Allah's my witness. The du'as of the family that are going to live in that house, they're going to be in your account straight away. It's going to change your life. It's a guarantee. I'll tell you a beautiful story as to how these things work. But is there somebody here who can help me to build a house? My brother over here. Both of you together? Jazakallah khair. Takbir! No. We're not here to support Man United. Takbir! Jazakallah khair. My brother was speaking about the young people. 1. Is there a second person? Brother or sister? Over there, brother. Takbir! Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. 2. Is there a third person that can make the commitment of building a house, an extension to their home, and also be looking for a house in paradise? Is there a second person? Fill the form out, give their details to the brother and brother over there, alhamdulillah. Do you have sisters? Do you have 1 or 2 sisters that can get me to halfway where I need to go tonight? I need 1 more hand from the brothers. I'm looking for 3 hands from the sisters, to be honest. So can we get some idea of what's happening on the sister side? And you know what? This is going to be the most beautiful challenge you've ever had. The difficult part is raising the hand. The easy part is the money. The easy part is the money. Do you have a third brother? And do we have a couple of sisters that can make a commitment to £5,000 tonight? Before I go a little bit further down, inshallah. But I need one more brother. A group of brothers. A couple of friends sitting next to each other say, you know what, Akhi, let's do it together. Let's make this happen. Let's do something. I'm going to share a small story with you. How the dua of those in need affects us. I've been to Hajj 15 times for the last 15 years. Alhamdulillah. I was a civil servant. I didn't have, civil servants really only just below the inflation line. We don't get a lot of money. Brothers and sisters, I was driving home in Glasgow 20 years ago. 18 years ago. I was walking up a hill, driving up a hill. There were two old aunties, auntie women they called, They were walking up these shopping bags. I stopped the car and gave them a lift. Now I'll tell you something, those women would have got home even if I didn't stop the car. It wasn't like the weather was so bad or their bags were so heavy they were struggling. They got a taxi, they got a bus, they could have got home anyway. But I stopped the car and gave them a lift. When I dropped them off, I've never met them in my life, I've never met them again. When I dropped them off, one of the aunties looked back in the car. She said, Beta, she said, son, may Allah help you to perform Hajj every year. Didn't think anything about it. I went home and told my family. You know what my family said to me? They said, are you crazy? He said, those women could have called the police, you stopped the car for them and all the rest of it. Somehow a year after I went to Hajj with my mother for the first time. While I was on the trip, the brother who was in charge of the group, he said, Akhi, would you mind coming back next year as one of our group leaders? Allah has been inviting me back for 15 years. 2 years ago, I had the privilege and the honor, and it's the highest accolade any presenter can get. It's a bit like the guys presenting the Olympics, to present Hajj live from Makkah and Medina for 3 weeks. And inshallah, I'm making plans to go again. I don't have the money. I've never paid a single penny for Hajj other than the first one that I took my mother with. And that is the dua of a woman that had a shopping bag in Glasgow. Can you imagine the dua of the mother and the children, the brother, saying in Syria tonight, when you come to them and say, brother, I'm going to house you for the next 10 years. Think of this. We don't think enough of the ghaib, of what we can't see. So do we have another brother here, or a group of brothers together? There's a brother over here, Jazakallah khair. Takbir! Alhamdulillah. Do we have some sisters? I want to see 2 sisters, inshallah, at least to get us halfway. Then I'm going to move a little bit further down. Do you have 2 sisters? Do you have another brother maybe as well? And don't be afraid. Wallahi, I guarantee something to you. This money will come to you from places you've never seen or heard about it. You will not know where it came from. You will not know where it came from. It will change your life. Think of the future of those children and those families if they continue to live under the olive tree for the next 10 years. So do we have a couple of sisters? Can we see a couple of sisters' hands up, inshallah, to get us halfway there? Shall I take you a little bit further down, or do we have another brother that inshallah can help us with a £5,000 commitment? It's not a huge amount. When you look at proportionally the cost of living in this country, it's not a huge amount. And to pay it over 12 months, or to raise it within 12 months, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. It will give you some focus in your life to do something worthwhile on a regular basis for the next 12 months. To do a single event, do a single challenge, an activity, that will raise the money. So do you have anybody else, inshallah, that can take on one family and look after them for the next 10 years? There's another hand. Jazakallah khair, brother, over here. Takbir! No, brothers. We're back to supporting Man United. Takbir! Jazakallah khair. 4. This brother over here at the front. MashaAllah, may Allah bless you. Do you have any sisters? I need one more hand. One more hand either from the sisters or brothers before I move a little bit further down. And again, when I move further down, you have the same opportunity to raise it over the next 12 months. Do the same activities. Raise the money from your friends, from your family, however you want to do it. Let me ask then, are there 2 brothers and sisters who can put their hand up for £2,500 and share in looking after building one home? Do you have two hands that can make a commitment of £2,500 each? And you will equally share looking after that family for the next 10 years. Do you have two hands from brothers or sisters that inshallah can help with £2,500? Give me one hand and I'm sure the rest will follow. And can we get any news from the sisters? Are they still here? Have they left? The sisters are laughing. I'm hoping that some of the sisters are putting their hands up and I can find out what's going on there as well. But do we have one brother, at least let's get going, or a sister that can make a commitment to 2,500, and I'll find somebody else to fulfill that next, the second part of that house. And again, 12 months. Again, do it in your time. Set it as a challenge. Put an activity together. Phone your friends. Make a collection. So do we have one hand that inshallah can help me with £2,500, and I'll find the second person that inshallah can share the beautiful opportunity. Don't underestimate this opportunity. Don't underestimate it. When you've been to see for your very own eyes, and I've been 3 times and these brothers have been, and you see the condition in which people are living, wallahi, you would give anything to be in that position that you could actually give them a home. What? For £5,000? Alhamdulillah. So do you have a single hand that inshallah can help us with 2,500? Do you have hands from the sisters? And then we can try and find a second person to get that home built and move on to the next one. Do you have one beautiful hand? The 5,000 was meant to be difficult. We've got 4 of them from the brothers. I don't know what's happened with the sisters. Do you have anybody else, inshallah? And I'll give you another small story just to motivate you. You know, about 4 years ago, at the time of the Gaza crisis in Palestine, I was raising money for houses then as well to rebuild homes. It was costing the same £5,000. And I remember a young brother, it was in East London, in West Ham. It was a very pin drop silence, like some of you are very quiet tonight. And this brother put his hand up and said, brother, I'll give you the £5,000 to start and get us going. We raised enough for 10 houses. This brother's name was Marshall Mia Ali. 32-year-old IT consultant. One of the fittest brothers I have ever seen in my life. He used to do all the challenges. Cycle challenge, Everest challenge, this challenge, that challenge for charity. What I found out afterwards that he didn't actually have the money. But he decided to do a cycle run between London and Cambridge to raise the money. And while he was training for the cycle run, he had a heart attack and he died at 32. But you know what his family did, subhanAllah? They continued the cycle run. They raised £10,000 and built 2 houses in his name. I want you to think what a legacy he left behind. What do you think is happening with him? We have one from the sisters, alhamdulillah, for 5,000. Should we mention her name? No, we shouldn't. Takbir! Jazakallah khair. And you know, she's put all the details on. May Allah bless her. I'm really looking for more from the sisters. That's 5, alhamdulillah. So where are the Marshall Mia Alis in this room that want to leave behind a legacy? That want to leave something, they want to make the intention to look after this family. So do we have those 2 hands from the brothers or the sisters who can make a commitment of £2,500 and raise the money? Do we have one hand? I'll find the other one. Jazakallah khair, my brother, over there, alhamdulillah. Takbir! I need one more to help him fill his house, to build his house, and you equally share in the reward of looking after. Do you have one more hand from the brothers and sisters that can make a commitment to 2,500? One more, and then I'll take you a little bit further down. Do you have one hand from the sisters or the brothers? Inshallah, very, very quickly, who can help me? Is there a hand that can help the brother fulfill his pledge? One hand. I can't give somebody a half a house. It's not possible. Is there one hand? Shall I take you a little bit further down? Because I'm conscious, I think it might be Isha time. Is that right? It is. Time for Isha. Let me tell you something else you can do. There are people here in this room, between the brothers and sisters, that can make a commitment to £1,000 each. If I can find 5 of you, you can build another home. If there are people who can do 500, I can find 10 of you, you can build another home. Or 250. So do we have 5 hands that maybe can make a commitment of £1,000 each between the brothers and sisters and build another home for us? Do we have those hands? You have the forms. I'm conscious of the Fajr Isha time as well now. But please, while you go and pray, I want you to think about what's happening to our family inside Syria. And you know what? They're only 3 hours away from here. 3 hours away from here. That's the distance between here and maybe Manchester. By flight. They're only 2 hours ahead of us. It is now 12 o'clock. And I want you to think about that hillside of those 190 families. That's just one segment where they're sitting right now. Luckily, it's quite nice weather. Fortunately. But that weather's going to change in a few months. It is going to become winter like you've never seen before. So I want you to think about this. That some of you can make a commitment to £1,000. Some can make 500. Some can make 250. And each one of you will come together and build another home, inshallah. Can somebody tell me what time Isha Jamaat is? Is it just now? What time is Isha? 10 o'clock. It's 10 minutes. So do we have another person who can make that 2,500 yet? To help that brother out? Is there a sister? Can we get something from the sisters? Do you have 5 brothers and sisters that can put £1,000 each together and help us? I'm going to leave it with you. I'm conscious that brothers are leaving or sisters are leaving for Isha. Please, think about this over your prayer. Make dua for yourself and our brother and sister in Syria. And inshallah, come back and let the brothers know they're here till the end of the night. Let them know what you can do. So they can go back knowing that they've got an X number of houses that they can build, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.